Hello. This is my second episode of Millennial Ka. And of course, I'm very excited as usual. Because the first episode was my guest was from the Philippines, and the second episode is now from New Jersey. Today is also, like I mentioned on my first episode, the first four guests that I'll be having are very close to my heart. They're like my children. Yeah. Well, I have to be honest. They're like really my children. They're friends of my
Mhm.
daughter. um he I can say that he didn't practically grow up with me, but this kid is really like my son too. you know um well, I think before he's born he's already popular. His mom, yeah, right, his mom
Yeah.
was a famous celebrity in the 80s, was Binibining Pilipinas, Miss Young Philippines in the 80s, and has been singing coming from a musically inclined family. At the same time, his father is a very good surgeon in the States. Friends, may allow me to introduce you, Max Calica.
Hello. Hi, this is Marianne.
Hi, Max. How are you? What time is
I'm
it
good.
there?
It is 11:22 a.m. Nice and sunny and shiny here in New Jersey.
So, is it everything good? Max, for our audience, because the title's Millennial ka. So, I'm sure even though you're born in the States, I think you understand a little bit of Tagalog, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. What year were you born?
I was born in 1992. I'm 27 years old.
Tell our audience something about yourself.
Um, I'll just give a little background synopsis, I guess. So I live here in New Jersey, I'm from New Jersey, but I live in New York City right now. Um, working for a was working for a trading show event company. So basically, we put on events for the financial sector for basically all Wall Street guys to get together and make those $1 million deals that we see on the news. So yeah, that's what I'm doing currently, sort of, kind of.
Okay. I remember when I was in New York about, was that just a year ago, or less than a year ago. Um, you were connected in a coffee shop company, and you surprised me that you were telling me about stories about celebrities. You're there as a training for you. Was that a training?
Oh.
Oh,
Well, yeah. So when yeah, it doesn't feel like that long ago, but yeah, you were here. So at that time, I was working at a coffee shop while going to school because I'm finishing up my studies, advertising major at St. John's University here in the city. Well, in the city, and so I was doing that on the weekends, but I was able to get hired full time or half time for this other company. At the coffee shop, there'd be celebrities coming in because it was in the West Village, and meet all these really wealthy and famous people. Was pretty cool. Some of them were very down to earth, and a lot of them were not.
but how did you get started in the events company after that?
So basically, I was just firing off my resume because as you know, and it's very important to get internships and then to grow your resume. So I was looking at it, and I actually maybe want to pivot to finance one day from my advertising major. So I thought it would be a good idea to hitch my wagon to this trading shows because all I do all day is connect via LinkedIn or emails or phone calls all day long on the phone. It's a lot with
That's
Wall
good.
Street
That's good.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
So it's good to build the connections for if and when I do transition. I know a lot of the top players actually now just
Um,
through this job.
do you enjoy your work?
Yeah, it can get a little tedious sometimes because, of course, with these very successful people, there's a lot of ego involved. So you kind of have to schmooze a little bit and act all, like they're the god or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's fun. It's interesting, and my coworkers make it a little better because they give me a lot of tips. Because my background, I wasn't used to calling and talking to people and trying to, get their business from them. My previous occupations didn't, call for that. So
Yeah. So can you say that from the past experience and now you've learning a lot more with this one?
yeah, 100%. So before the coffee shop, I was helping my stepfather out with certain things, and it's a lot of side work. And this one really made me, I feel, like a young professional, because I'm really in the mix. It feels good to put the suit on, go to work, and feel accomplished. My office is 2 blocks from Wall Street itself, so it feels nice when you go.
Okay. Basically, what type of activities do you do with your work every day?
So basically, aside from the obvious emails and stuff, I'd have to, for instance, we go after a lot of venture capitals and a lot of hedge funds. So I would spend my time looking up the best hedge funds and VCs, and then from there, I've actually become a wizard with LinkedIn. That you look for the HR, and then find out who they're hiring, and then look for the biz dev, and then this, and then that, and then connect, and then send a note. It's a lot of that, and then trying to schedule calls. And then once I get them on the calls, I try to get them to the show, try to see what they're into, to see if they fit my speaker model. And on top of that, I actually, right before all of the world's problem right now, I was transitioned into startups. So just trying to get financial startups.
You've been getting a lot of clients for the company, but where do you
Oh.
get your majority of your leads?
So some of them, luckily enough for me. So when I joined, the company is well established here in the States. So sometimes, so we have three events, one in New York, one in Chicago, and one in London. And usually, about, I'll say, 65% of the time, the people in that world, the JP Morgan, BlackRock, everybody, they know it. So I just, basically give the features. They already know the benefits. I just give the features. So I'm saying, all right, I can offer this, I can do that. And some of the times they don't want to talk to me, but I'll say 95% of the time it's a good turnover ratio, where kind of the job is done for me just based on the resume.
How many hours do you work with this? Is it an events company? Sorry, correct me if I'm.
No, yeah, no, yeah. But basically, they place under media production, but essentially that's what it is. Our company runs all different types of events. I just got put in the financial sector. So to answer your question, yeah. So
How many
they,
hours? Yeah,
so
you put in.
normally it would be 40-hour work week, everything. But recently they brought it down to 4 days a week, and they had to take 20%, which really stinks, 20% of our salary, because international events, no one's doing that right now.
Yes,
So
of course.
we've been getting hit hard. And before all of this stuff happened, there were whispers like, oh, we're the from between coworkers, this is going to be a problem. And you know, it's really affected the business, where they've let a lot of people go in the company, or
So,
furloughed them, or sorry, go ahead.
so are you still operating right now, or
So
temporary? You have to stop operations
for
temporarily.
me, I myself was furloughed because of this whole thing. So there's no clear timetable. I mean, I still get the company emails and I still respond here and there, but until this whole thing blows over, the company, does it just can't support me right now. So
Okay, how do you think that this situation with COVID will shape the landscape of the industry you are in? Can you share your
oh,
thoughts?
yeah, that's a good question. So basically, the company itself, the way I feel,
Yeah.
I don't think they're not going to be sustainable at the rate we were at. So basically, for our company, we were about 50 deep, 50 people in, just in our New York office, but we have offices all over. And the events, I don't think people are going to be so, ready to go to massive groups of thousands of people, even after when, you know, the president say, okay, you can go out and do things. I still think that they're not going to want to do it. We've transitioned into webinars, so it's virtually meeting, but it's not really the same event, and it makes it harder for us to sell sponsorships. It makes it harder to sell everything, basically. So I think the events industry is obviously one of the many, many industries that's going to see residual effects from for a long time from this.
Yep. Personally, even your president will say, okay, we're back to business.
Right.
Personally, how would you feel about it? Let's say, okay, tomorrow, everything is back to business and it's going to be normal. But from a personal point of view, um, how will you feel about it? How are you going to act on it?
Personally, I will be very reluctant because, of course, when it's immediate family and stuff, of course, you want to see them and say, but then you go to work and all these people from all over, not just the country, but from London, Europe, Geneva, like all over the world. It affects everything. Do I go in for the handshake? Do I wave? And then from there, do I get close to talk, or
Yeah.
how do you, every down to the minuscule detail is affected now? So I don't know. I wouldn't be super excited about it until I see all the facts are out. But again, who knows right now?
In your country, even the president is not clear enough to say you have to wear a mask, you have to stay home. Where are you getting your information to arrive to a decision? Hey, I'm not supposed to go out and I'm supposed to wear a mask.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Well, just in my opinion, of course, people have to get back to work and people are suffering, but I think they're calling it quits too early. And as far as the news goes, I get the same news too, here and there. But I like to, my stepfather taught me, get from the right side, get from the left side, and then make your opinion, because you know how all news organizations, can sway each way. Um, uh, it's pretty insane now that I think people are asking to go out and do this and do that. It hasn't even plateaued. It hasn't anything. It's still rising. As far as I know, here in our area, the tri-state area is the worst. New York is ground zero for it here. So I have no plans to go back to the city. I we stay here. We get groceries with mask and gloves. We're very protective and careful over it. And I don't think that people are really following the rules per se. A lot of them are not, and it's a real shame because it's selfish and it's irresponsible basically to everybody else. They're just infecting and spreading the disease without even knowing it.
Listeners will hear what they want to hear from the other side. Yeah, that's our topic now. How are you coping up? So, what are you doing right now? Are you thinking of s- of changing your career, or so basically, are you done with the events company, or everything is on hold?
It's a bit of both right now. So it's kind of I'm kind of weary on my next move because of all this uncertainty. So my direct superior had, when he told me that I had to be furloughed and let off for a little bit, he said, between me and you, he said, if you want to go look for somewhere else, then go for it. But the thing is, no one's hiring right now. Absolutely no one. I mean, for good reason. And for coping, I don't, try to stay active, try to work out a little bit. I don't know. It's all in due time. I'm trying to make moves, but I'm just not sure of the moves right now. In New York City, they've canceled all summer internships. School has been digital. There's not a lot of certainty for what I can do, but all I can do is, just try to stay positive and try to keep the mind busy, read, exercise, like I said, play basketball, try to get out of the sun and get off the couch, basic things.
But right now, okay, how do you feel about with the whole situation personally?
Personally, I think it's a bit of a disaster. Just for my personal life, my girlfriend, she lost both of her grandparents
Oh my
in
God. Sorry.
in a week span. It was unbelievable, and so she's been devastated, of course. You know, I remember reading about the news when it was in Italy, when it was affecting Italy very bad. It went from hearing about someone died to knowing someone who died, and that's what's starting to happen here, where you hear slowly and surely people, this person is have it, or this person's grandparent passed away, because obviously it affects older people more. But personally, my heart goes out to them, and it's really sad. The best thing I can say is to just follow the rules. Be safe, wash your hands. That's just kind of a rinse and repeat thing.
Actually, that's my last question. What advice can you give for listeners your age right now because of this COVID-19? Like,
Well, for listeners my age, I know that my friends and everyone here is still urging to hang out and still urging to go to the bar and to hang out, but it's not smart, because who knows where those people that you've been with, that you're hanging out with, have been, and
yes, you're right.
they could have it and not know, and then you're putting your parents in danger. So whenever I get the urge and feel like, man, I really want to go out, I really want to hang with my friends, I think about, what if I got my mom sick? And
Yeah,
then I just go out.
I know because you understand, right? If you are asymptomatic, which means
Right.
you're a carrier. You may not have the symptoms, but you are a carrier.
Exactly, and that's what's really worrisome about it. That I could develop it and give it to my mom, who could be symptomatic, and God forbid everything else. So that's what deters me from trying to go out and
So let's
hang out.
hope that things will turn around quickly, and finally they should find a vaccine for this for globally right now. So thank you, Max, for this
Thank you.
interview, because it's very important that people on the other side of the world to hear what you have to say as a millennial going through and coping up with this COVID-19. Would you like to say something to your friends or anyone?
I just can't wait to come back to the Philippines and hang out with you guys.
Yes, sure. You can be a model and actor here, like your
Well,
mom.
one day. One day.
Okay. Thank you so much, Max. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.